What do you say? Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Hello. Yeah. Please sit down, and if I would like to invite you to sit closer. Yeah, don't sit in the third row. Come closer, please. Yeah, don't be shy. Why not? Yeah. Okay.
Secret Service.
We will need to have a prayer book, so let's bring Sidurim. Yes. La 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 Page 643. Yavo Ezri Elsa Enai Harim Me'ain Me'ain Yavo Ezri Ezri Me'im Hashem Shamayim va'aretz Ezri Me'im Hashem Oseh Shamayim va'aretz. I would like to invite you to open your prayer books on page 2. We will start with the evening service. We are called unto life destiny uncertain, yet we offer thanks for what we know, for health and healing, for labor and repose, for renewal of beauty in earth and sky, for that blend of human holy which inspires compassion, and for hope, eternal promising light, for life, for health, for hope, for beautiful, bountiful blessing, all praise to the source of being. Baruch Ata Adonai, Mekor Nefesh Kol Chai. Please rise, page 4. Baruch et Adonai HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, Le'olam Va'et. You may sit down on page 5. Sorry, page 6. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shemeinu v'shmeinu b'dech shelem. ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה. אדוני צבאות שמו, אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, המעריב הרבים. Continue on page 8. אהבת עולם בית ישראל עמך אהבת. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגי יומם ולילה, ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד. page 12. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. We continue on page 16 with מי כמוך. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקעים לפני משה ומרים, זה לי ענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב, וגלום יד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני גאל Israel. We continue silently on page 18. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום. ושמור צאתנו ובואנו לחיים ולשלום מעתה ועד עולם. ברוך אתה אדוני שומר עמו ישראל לעד. Please rise if you can, page 20. יתגדל ויתקדש שמר רבן, ועל מה דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל. בעגלה בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהא שמי רבה מברך לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי קודשה בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה. תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמה ואמרו amen. We keep standing for the Amidah between pages 76 and 100. We will start with the introduction on page 74. We used to face to the city of Jerusalem and the land of Israel. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Page 76. We read only the even pages until page 100. עושה שלום, שלום, שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ואמרו Amen. Please keep standing for Aleinu on page 586. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. You may sit down. Please open your prayer books on page 653. Eli, Eli, שלא ייגמר לעולם, החול והים, רשרוש של המים, ברק השמיים, תפילת האדם, החול והים, רשרוש של המים, ברק השמיים, תפילת האדם. My God, my God, I pray may these things never end. The sun and the sea, the rush of the waters, the crash of the heavens, the prayer of man, the sand and the sea, the rush of the waters, the crash of the heavens, the prayer of man. There are so many things in life that we do not understand. When we are born, nobody asks us if we agree about the rules of life. But I think, this is my opinion, I think that the period of the time that we have the God as a gift from God, and what we do with this time, what the footprints we leave, especially in our family and our beloved ones, when we touch the soul of another person, and when we do things that are important and transcendental. So even though there's an end of life, and we don't understand, this is one of the mysteries of life, but something stays in a mysterious place, and you know, the rabbis used to call this ruach. So this is like a spirit or wind, two ways of understanding this. So when we think of Job, we don't think only about the last days or the last weeks when he just wanted to give up. We think about his whole life. When we see this picture that you brought, a beautiful picture, and with his amazing smile, contagious smile. So there's something that remains inside, especially inside you. But you are the ones who know him better. So I would like to invite you, Nancy, to be the first one to talk about Joe, to remember him, to honor him. So please come. I would like also, I will ask you to use a microphone because we are streaming this. So some people could not make it, but they're watching online, or they will watch this in the evening or tomorrow. So please come here. Yes, bring your stuff. And use this.
Thank you. I want to thank you all for coming and supporting me and my family. I really appreciate it. Joe and I met at the University of Buffalo and were married after he graduated and could support a wife in 1962. My mother would not have it any other way. I was quite a child. In fact, even a cousin of mine says I was so young I was a zygote. And then I thought I was so mature. I grew under Joe's tutelage without realizing it. He was a very forgiving husband, and together we grew as a couple. After having 2 children, he returned to the university full-time on scholarship for his PhD. He did not find fulfillment as an executive in retailing at Macy's, and so he just had to do something else. He found his niche and academicians and was driven to prove himself and leave a mark on his profession. Joe's early research was into business, games, computer simulations versus Harvard business cases, entering the world of publishing. He became a world leader on the efficacy of business computer games. I know that's a mouthful, but he did it. He worked so hard that the university encouraged his research by giving him a reduced teaching load of just 2 classes a week, which was really unheard of. You know, that's 6 hours of teaching a week. So what did he do with the rest of the time? Which meant he became a house husband before it was chic. And I was trying to think of what year. So in the 70s, I mean, he was home. And so it allowed me to work. And so I finished up my degree, which allowed me, of course, to finish up my degree, because he did everything except cook. He was not a good cook. But he did do the ironing. My ironing basket came as a trousseau, and he got to the bottom of it. He was in the Navy. He learned. He was invited all over the world to attend conferences, giving talks and reviewing papers. Joe's love and knowledge of music was extraordinary. He trained to be a classical trombonist. When he joined the Navy to be in the band, Uncle Sam had other needs for him, and he was sent to spy school, which lasted for his 4 years of service. He commented frequently on that he was guarded by Marines, and they were not very cordial to his unit. As a matter of fact, he puzzled over why the Marines had rifles with bullets, where he in the Navy had a pistol without bullets. We were so naive. As in the military, there is a saying, the need to know. And Joe had no insight into the attitude of the Marines. Years later, we saw the World War II movie Wind Talkers about the Navajo Indians using their language as a secret code while stationed in Asia. And these poor Navajos were guarded by, you guessed it, Marines with rifles that were loaded. And they were there, of course, to protect them, but not only to protect them, we realized via watching the film, but not to be captured. They were not to be captured because they were the only ones who knew the Navajo language. The Japanese would have loved to have gotten a hold of them. They were there to shoot them if it was so necessary. And it dawned on me, that's what they were doing with my husband. But thank goodness it was way later, and I didn't have to worry about it. But the first time we went to Russia, we had to ask the government for permission to go. Now he knew that, I didn't know why. No, but the need to know, you just know certain things you have to do. And at least he followed protocol. And we didn't get into any trouble. We were not allowed the first time to take a computer with us because the Russians didn't have quality computers. But that's neither here nor there. I think we took one anyway because I needed it. And our years together had its rough patches, and after much couples therapy, it was revealed to us to stop compromising. New idea. If the situation is meaningful to one, let that person have his way 100%. And since we were a couple and did care for each other, the other one would get their due as well. Well, I wish I had learned this earlier, because we had a first house had 2,400 square feet of celery mist carpet. Joe was a blue person, I was a red person, and our compromise was celery mist. So I miss you, Joe, and your love. Rest peacefully. Thank you. Amen. Amen.
So we used to say Ledor Vador, from generation to generation. So this is one of the mysteries, how we can pass our heritage to the next generation. So the next generation is you, Adrian. So I invite you to talk about your dad. Yeah, use this. Thanks.
Thank you all for being here. It means a lot to our family. So I'm Adrienne Wolf, the eldest daughter. And as we know, my father was a teacher by profession. And by default, you're also a teacher when you're a parent. So I was very fortunate to have a parent who could excel at the art of creating a lesson. When we're all young, lessons are foundational, right? They're pretty basic. And my dad loved Proverbs. And some of his were my earliest influences. So things like honesty, as in honesty is the best policy, right? That proverb. And when I was really little, that's kind of easy to do. Like, what's the worst thing you do? You break something. When I was a teenager, it was impossible. I could not be honest just to save my soul. And I've come back around, so it has stuck. Thrift. A penny saved is a penny earned. I remember I had a little savings passbook, and the type that you would get they would write in what you deposited each time, and I loved it, and I was so proud to show it to Dad and see how my money's growing. This one deserves 2 proverbs. Don't procrastinate. So don't put off to tomorrow what you can do today, or a stitch in time saves 9. My dad had to explain a stitch in time saves 9 to me so many times. It inherently didn't make any sense to me. Courage. Scaredy cats don't have any fun. So I remember the one time he said this to me that really stuck is I was really small and we were at Jones Beach swimming or going to swim. So I was small, the waves were big, I was terrified. Everyone else is having a great time out there and I wouldn't go in. I wouldn't do it. And he said, well, scaredy cats never have any fun. And I sat there for a while on the beach, being scared, but also being mad. And I eventually went in. And so I also realized that I could rise to a challenge, kind of like, wave a red flag in front of me and I'll charge every time. Grit. If at first you don't succeed, try again. He taught me that failing is fine just so long as you learn from it. Failing is part of succeeding. Dad also didn't really believe in traditional gender roles. He did housework and watched us as children way before it was in vogue, like you heard my mom say. He also taught us a lot of basic life skills, like how to use all of his power tools, how to do basic carpentry, how to change our oil or a flat tire, how to do home maintenance. As we both grow older, he taught me the unintentional lesson of watching a parent age, of us becoming more and more on equal footing to each other, of what it looks like to be able to ask your adult child for help and to be able to receive it graciously, to be an extremely proud grandfather, to know the wonderful feeling of having a parent look you in the eye and tell you that they are proud of you. Dad's last lesson to me was bittersweet. It was the importance of staying flexible and curious as we age. Recognizing that things that we loved we may no longer be able to do, and that having the ability to seek out new interests is vital to our health. Thank you, Dad, for all of your lessons, intentional ones and otherwise. I will miss your humor, insights, and words of encouragement. Rest in peace, Dad.
And representing the 3rd generation, first will come Bryn? Bryn? Yeah. Okay, go, come. Yes, this. Yeah.
Thank you all for coming. Grandpa Joe was a very complicated man, as many of you probably are well aware of. He possessed so many qualities that I believe made him a truly special man, so much so that writing this, I found it hard to synthesize him into just a few defining qualities. So I'd like to start with the story. In my sophomore year English class, we had these days for free writing, and we would go in, and there'd be a prompt on the board, and it was time for us to just sit there and write everything out and not have to worry about grammar or all that annoying stuff in English. And one day the prompt was to come up with our own personal definition of a hero and then apply that to someone in our life or in the world who we view as a hero. And for me, this just seemed like a no-brainer. I'd always been looking for an excuse to talk about Grandpa Joe and to share his qualities with others. This might not seem like the obvious choice for people when there's a plethora of like modern day heroes we see on TV all the time. But for me, my grandpa was my own hero. I think of a hero as someone who's admirable, honest, inspirational, intelligent, and has good integrity, all of which are qualities that I see in Grandpa Joe. Heroes possess qualities that make others around them want to possess themselves. They have something special about them that others are able to learn from, and they're able to spread good. Many people might not see the same things that I saw in Grandpa, but I wish that I could like bottle up all of his knowledge and just hand it out to everyone that I met. Sorry, I'm gonna cry, but he was a smart professor, and he was able to spread abundance of knowledge to all of his students that they were able to utilize in their studies and spread out into the world. So I think of him as like a silent hero. He knew he was smart, but he didn't just keep it to himself, which I admire. Even though most of the times he really did just love to hear himself talk, in the long run, his words were able to reach others and spread positivity. And I know a lot of his words stuck with me. He taught me how to be more independent and how to think differently. He offered me new perspectives on life. When I was around Grandpa, it felt like someone had handed me like a really fancy pair of glasses, and when I put it on, I was able to see everything differently. The glasses kind of made the world seem more complicated, but I think complication can be a good thing. Without complication in life, we can't learn how to persevere. We wouldn't learn how to work hard, and we'd fall into a pattern of taking things for granted. Grandpa Joe had a complicated life. And when I told him that I wish I was more like him, he thought it was funny, and he told me to not wish that. He said he didn't have a good life himself. And I think part of this makes him more admirable to me. Thank you. Because despite all of his hardships in life, he was able to make it through, and he never lost sight of the things that he enjoyed. He always kept himself busy with his crafts and his research, and he knew what he loved, and he never stopped doing it despite everything else around him. He showed me that there's always outlets in life, and that there's something for everyone out there, even if you don't know it yet. He often referred to life as a book with different chapters in it. Sorry, I cannot see. He would often ask me what I wanted my next chapter in life to look like, and most of the time, like I was in high school, so I was like, I have no idea. I do not know what I want to do. But then he would tell me that every decision we make is important, and how making these life decisions, whether big or small, is part of the next chapter of our life. He showed me that the little things in life are important, and that you should think about these things often. I think about him a lot, and I remember how there was always someone back home that I could talk to about almost anything. He provided comfort and was able to make Kaylin and I laugh. I think about him, and I wish that he could come visit me in college, and I can hear all of his stories one more time. I think about him and how we would make fun of him for eating chips with a fork, or for so weird, but for always being cold even in the summer. And I wish I could give him a big hug. I tell my friends in college about him still, even though they have no idea who he is. I tell them that Grandpa Joe was the smartest person I've ever met, and how he was one of my favorite people too. Sorry. I tell them that he was funny, helpful, determined, and that he was interesting. They're constant reminders about him everywhere I go. I see him when I hear an orchestra or music playing, and I think about how he would probably make a comment about how someone's playing something wrong, or something's out of pitch, or something crazy like that no one else would ever pick up on. I see him when someone drinks Pepsi, which is rare nowadays because everyone's addicted to Diet Coke, but I think about how he loved it so much, and growing up I would always beg him for just one sip. And I think about him too when I write papers for my English class. And I think about the one time he helped me write my paper, and I turned it in, and my teacher asked if I plagiarized the whole thing. Because it was so good, because he was so smart. And I look forward to seeing these reminders every day, because it shows me how truly lucky I was to be raised by someone so special. I love you, Grandpa.
And Kelly? Yes.
Thank you all for coming. It means so much to our family. Bryn, that was beautiful. I never thought I would cry, like, because of your role. That was really good. Thank you. For those of you that don't know, I am the youngest daughter of my grandpa. And if there's one thing I could remember about my grandfather, it's that he was such a smart and well-respected man. And it wasn't just in the Bainbridge community, it was all over the world. He had such a large impact in people around him, and I don't think he ever realized that. I loved how every time I went to his house, he would always right away start talking about a new project he was working on. I loved how even when he was busy, he always made an effort to come to see me. I loved how when you went out with him, if you saw something that reminded him of the past, he would always go on a little rant about it. I loved how his laugh was so loud and yet so soft at the same time, and how contagious it was. His smile would bright up a room in a matter of seconds. I loved how goofy he was, and I loved that he didn't even realize it. I loved how smart he was so humble about it and never degraded a person because they were not as smart as him, and I really, really love that about him. I loved how invested he was in his work, and I loved how much time he spent on it. I loved my grandfather, and I always will. He was such an outstanding person, an outstanding husband, father, professor, and co-worker. He was definitely my #1 role model, and I truly hope that someday I will even amount to half of what he was. I love my grandfather, because to me he was everything.
So it's a mix, because we are facing a loss, but also and especially celebrating a life. And you especially are sad, but also grateful, also for being able to have Joe in your lives. So thank you for sharing these feelings with all of us. Please stand up. We are going to pronounce a traditional prayer on page 582. אל מלא רחמים שוכן במרומים, המצא מנוחה נכונה תחת כנפי השכינה, עם קדושים וטהורים כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים, לנשמת ג'ו וולף שהלך לעולמו. בעל הרחמים, תסתירהו בסתר כנפיו לעולמים, ויצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתו. אדוני הוא נחלתו וינוח בשלום על משכבו, ונאמר אמן. To our Joe Wolf who have entered eternity, grant clear and certain rest with you in the love-free heights of the sacred and pure, whose brightness shines like the very glow of heaven. Source of mercy, forever enfold them in the embrace of your wings. Secure their souls in eternity. Adonai, they are yours. He is yours. He will rest in peace. Amen. Let's finish with Kaddish Yatom on page 598. Together, Yitgadal ve'yitkadash shemeh Rabbah, be'alma divra chiruteh ve'yamlich malchuteh, b'chayichon u'b'yomechon u'b'chayed chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'b'zman kariv ve'imru Amen. יהא שמי רבה מברך לעולם ולעלמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא. ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו. לאלה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה. תושבחתה ונחמתה דאמירן בעלמא ואמרו אמן. יהא שלמה רבה מן שמיה וחיים. עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל יושבי תבל, ואמרו אמן. תהי נשמתו צרורה בצרור החיים, may his soul be raised in the generations in time of true and real life. May we remember him always with love. Amen.
Amen.